Bikeworks as business as normal is not operational. Apart from, we managed to get 3 of our All Ability riders and members of our All Ability team who report back. We managed to get them on the 2.6 challenge on Friday, which was great. But it was really good actually. But the rest of it's to the sideline for the time being. And yeah, I mean, we've gone from, we passed 3,000 items delivered yesterday. We've gone from 1 to 11 boroughs, and we've rehired, none of the team are furloughed, and we've managed to rehire about 20 freelancers, which, given the rest of the sector for cycle training, is I think we're probably the only ones to do that. Currently delivering hot meals, a couple of different organisations, daily hot meals, predominantly to Somali community, but members of the community that have been highlighted again with quite complex mental health as well. So that's quite interesting. Food banks, we're doing a number of cargo bike deliveries on food banks, and then alongside all of that, and very much interlinked, is the work we're doing with the health service. So we're doing prescription drops for, most boroughs we're working in, some mega amounts of home delivery of prescriptions, and then in 4 boroughs we're doing medical testing kits, so even monitoring kits, so oxygen levels, thermometer, and blood pressure. And then in a number of boroughs we're doing home testing kits, so they're either the pin prick tests or the swab tests. So and it's been incredible, like the nuances of the health service in different boroughs. It's been quite interesting. We've almost been telling different boroughs what to do off the back of developing standard operating procedures for one borough, and then other boroughs say, well, how are they doing it? And we said, well, you're doing it, you should do it like this. So yeah, it's phenomenal, and it's a 7-day operation. Our house is the East London hub, so we've got thousands of, less now because we've been using them, but masks, PPE. I was just saying earlier, I've got 50 pairs of shoes being dropped off next week from a social enterprise in Africa who want us to distribute shoes out to the community. We've got hooked up with a 3D face visor, 3D printing face visor guy we're distributing on behalf of them. So it's intense. And now the conversation, I mean, this is now up and running. We've been able to repurpose some money via a social isolation project that we can't run now, so that's been great. So all of this has been, we're sort of burning through some money which we couldn't use otherwise. We're now engaging some of the boroughs who are starting to understand that if this carries on for 2 months, we're going to need some level of payment, otherwise we are in a different situation. But for me now, it's about how do we start communicating the services that we know we can get up and running sooner rather than later, depending on the release from lockdown, which is effectively our All Ability program and employability. I mean, we've got loads of people who, with mild or moderate complex learning physical disabilities who won't have had any exercise, and we know that we can deliver all of this again socially distancing, abiding by those rules. And so for us, it's about how do we do that quickly, safely, and come back with a bang, as well as all of the rest of the things of managing people that are saying, you haven't paid your rent.
You can't quite put into words, unless you see it yourself, exactly the types of people that we're currently all supporting at the moment. So when we talk about people shielding or keeping people away from the NHS, particularly secondary care services, and essentially away from even primary care services to keep them safe and well at home, that the work that goes into that is never quite enough. So we might be going and dropping off a hot meal or some essential supplies, some medication, but the amount of distress that you find people in when you actually turn up on their doorstep, or sometimes quite incoherent, because all of that community support doesn't currently exist in any guise, any shape or form in any community currently. And so it really does bring to the surface the amazing job that goes on in our community behind the scenes that a lot of us are very aware of. But during these weeks of lockdown, you know, we really are in a crisis situation within our communities. And I think coming out of lockdown, there is sort of a sense of fear as to what we will all find as well, because we only see a little bit of scratching away at the surface, and we know that the needs are going to be so great and so deep. And so how do we apportion what little support, what little money there will be to actually best serve those people, to make sure that they are keeping safe and well, that they're able to keep a roof over their head, or they're able to keep their families safe. There are huge rises of domestic violence that are happening, and that's the reported domestic violence, let alone the unreported. And you know, as we know, we don't live in the healthiest of communities. So although air pollution's reducing, which is lovely to see, you know, there are all these other hidden social and economic issues that it will take partnerships and collaborations like this to really come together with different viewpoints, different understandings to share, and really think, you know, in an entrepreneurial way about how can we best address life after lockdown over the short and medium term. I have no idea what the long term will look like at this stage. Part of me fears it greatly, but it is great to see lots of different people taking action, and community action as well. I mean, that would be an amazing thing to have come out of all of this, that people feel more engaged as a member of their own community, whether they live there or work there, and feel more confident about volunteering in their communities.
There's going to be a phenomenally larger pool of people that we can use our bikes and our approaches to when this is over. There's going to be a much larger group of people who are not working. There's going to be and what's really interesting here is that the people that we're trying to outreach to through our employment program are going to be even further from the labour market now. So it's critical that the people that are more job ready, that have just been made redundant, we try and get them into work, but the people that are furthest away are not forgotten. So that's sort of priority number one. And priority number two is that, you know, with the speed within which we've been able to pivot and get all this off the ground, you know, means that, you know, our awareness within the health service, within the networks, that actually quite protective and understandably about their clients and what they do, that we've been able to penetrate that very quickly and deliver professionally on a daily basis throughout a number of hours and hitting some big outputs. So you know, we want to make sure that, and they're the people that will allow us to get closer to those marginalised and shielded people. So we've got to use this time now to to really sort of lay that foundation for. I mean, we did a new strategy, Bikeworks 3.0, back in middle of last year. I think now we're already on Bikeworks 4.0, which harnesses everything we're doing now, but in a new format, which is quite exciting. It's also a bit scary.
It's how we harness, you know, what cycling is and what it can do in all those different ways, and how we make it commercially viable for the bottom line of what we do, that allows all the more charitable work to continue to move forward at a time when that's at high demand as well.